the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Ene Nyankopon Adom Emma Oman Ghana celebrating the 67th independence anniversary ewo the Eastern Regional Capital of Koforidua. Na jumadi no so kama. Na BBC Africa reporter Joyce Limbao the ensem kakra to dwa or describe kwanya to say wafa so aye so overwhelmed by the kind of speech ya Ghana man penyin His Excellency Nana Addo deliver. You bet his speech na ensem Joyce Limbao BBC reporter edi etudwa after the delivery of the speech. Ena maybe can catch him. We are near put his speech in mama me. In fact, all cancer answer me at the Ghana man penny, His Excellency Nana Addo or say, as an African, falling in love with the powerful speech of the Ghanaian president Nana Addo is an understatement. This is a true African leader who understands democracy, rule of law, and what it takes to commit his country at heart. I have experienced over 30 years of democratic rule under several leaders in the African continent and can confidently say he is one of the best gifts to have ever happened to Africa. Mark my words, his legacy will forever be drawn like imaginary lines in the hearts of unborn generations to come. To be able to stand up and say no to global crisis amidst educating more than 2 million Ghanaians for free is a remarkable achievement for an African leader from a mid-growing economic country like Ghana. He may have his flaws as any normal human being and as an African leader, but as such, nothing can be taken away from him as a leader who truly cares about the independence of the African. True independence starts and ends with the mind, and only being educated and enlightened sets the tone for total independence. And he did just that with his free education policy. Africa would truly miss him. The way and someone Joyce Limbao, BBC reporter, BBC Africa, or more X handle after listening to the speech delivered by His Excellency Nana Addo. May summarizing someone my me can ya the opache nyane say Nana Addo every the term no ena Ghana any baby man ebe hu no say in fact na ateti no hawa wiase aman nyina fomu na papa yi to mi gina ye say Ghana fon kwada eburo opipim yenu enya entitiye emfomu masuamu kwa hire nipa ni abre se odi fa ho di ankasa ebebre ne manma na ye pe abibi man akandifo ya omo agi kabima men kabi ye de mra eye adwumatumu a untumi momyinu ana miensa na onyina na Addo famfiri ho enti in fact abibi man ebe fino akai ne ye pa Sane say is one of the best gifts. Chedia a sombo kesia onyankopon e de che bebe man. Yenkoni yenkotie the speech delivered by Nana Addo entia ama this BBC reporter Miss Joyce Limbao e kasansemi e de fagana.
When we say it is a part of Ghanaian culture to be respectful in conversations, I dare say the source must be the legendary Equiapim insistence that even an insult must be preceded with a please. They remain the repository of the rules of proper behavior. It is here in the Eastern region that we find the beautiful and intricate beadworks that are defining features of Ghanaian jewelry. The Krobos are the masters of the ancient art and have modernized it to make beads attractive not only to the old, but also to the present generation as well. The Eastern region is also the home of the Kwaus, Ghana's unquestioned leading entrepreneurs, and an example to all of us of what private enterprise can achieve. It is furthermore the home of the Achims, the single biggest ethnic group in the region, who founded one of the most ancient states of Ghana's history, with an unbroken record of chiefly government dating from the 14th century till today. It is home too of the Akwamus, whose renowned military exploits extended to freeing Christiansborg Castle from the control of the Danish. I've mentioned specific groups that make up the Eastern region, but as I stated earlier, it is a region where the whole of Ghana merges into a melting pot and lives in harmony, and different groups feed on the strength of each other for the good of the whole. This is the same scenario that is played on the national scene, where different people have come together to form the Ghanaian nation and a national identity for the past 67 years. Fellow Ghanaians, we have good reason to choose as our theme and to celebrate our democracy, our pride, at this 67th anniversary of our independence. We are a democratic nation, and not every country can make such a claim. It is important to note that the democratic system of government we have today was not given to us at independence. More than 100 years of British rule had not prepared us in any way for democracy. There is nothing democratic about colonial rule, and whatever we have today, we have worked out for ourselves. All the defining elements of a democracy that are part of our governance architecture today, we have had to fabricate ourselves. Everything we know about elections today, and we know quite a bit, we have learned through hard practice, and in the past 31 years, we have been stable. We've not got a perfect system, but every time we've had elections during this Fourth Republic, it has been an improvement on the previous occasion. We have still a lot more to learn, especially when it comes to the tolerance of opposing views. But we also know that we dare not relapse, as there are many examples of countries that have disintegrated into chaos as a result of disputed elections. We know that technology is a useful tool that we must embrace to make the electoral process more transparent. But we are very much aware that technology also now makes it possible and easier for the deliberate manipulation and propagation of falsehood to influence public opinion. When it comes to free speech and a vigorous media as indicators of a working democracy, I believe we can say we are doing well. There's no danger of dissenting voices not being heard on any subject, even though we have still more work to do on elevating the quality of our public discourse. We take our disputes to the courts for adjudication and resolution, and the judicial system operates within agreed and acceptable rules. When we look around our neighborhood, we might be tempted to think that our work is done, but we Ghanaians have never been known to settle for mediocrity. We aim for the best in every field. We should compare ourselves with the best that there is and not settle for anything less. For as long as there is poverty and injustice anywhere in Ghana, our work is not done. On a day like this, we should pay homage, of course, as I have done to our forebears and the elders who fought for independence, and work through the years to establish all that we have to be proud of today. But our attitude should always be that there are better days ahead and work towards that instead of yearning for some bygone good old days. The greatest challenge remains the provision of good quality education to all of Ghana's children and young people. We have a lot to be proud of, but we have more work to do. I'm happy that through the implementation of the free senior high school policy, we're removing financial barriers to education, unlocking the potential of thousands of young Ghanaians, and laying the foundation for a brighter future for our country. This year, we have seen the highest ever enrollment of first-year students into senior high school in our nation's history. That is the figure of 503,000 students, a clear indication of the widespread embrace of the free senior high school policy. We should be able to offer every Ghanaian child the best education there can be. And having completed high school, our children should be equipped with skills that make them prepared to face the modern world. Our schools must prepare our children to be comfortable with science and technology, engineering and mathematics, and ready to compete in the modern economy. Fellow Ghanaians, there's more to preparing a child to face the world than what can be taught in the classroom. And there's certainly more to molding a Ghanaian child than what our hard-working teachers do every day. Too many parents have relinquished the entire responsibility of bringing up children to what happens in schools. I do not refer only to our music, dance, food, language, and fashion that form the basis of our cultural identity. I refer to the values that set us apart as Ghanaians. If we are to take pride in being Ghanaian, there should be a consensus on the values we hold dear, and we should transmit them to every generation. Fellow Ghanaians, I know that we have gone through difficult economic circumstances, but it is clear that we have overcome the worst and we are looking forward to better times. I wish to make reference in particular to two projects coming on stream that should make a great difference to the economic fortunes of our country. I refer to the successful selection of strategic partners that will work with the Ghana Integrated Aluminum Development Corporation, GIADEC, to build a new alumina refinery and develop mines at Nyinahini in Pasaso as 3 or 4 projects being executed under the Integrated Aluminum Industry IAI projects. I've witnessed the signing of 2 agreements in Accra recently. Firstly, between GIADEC, a wholly owned public entity, and Rockshore International, a wholly owned Ghanaian private company, selected after a rigorous process as a strategic partner to develop a mine at Nyinahini in Pasaso. And secondly, between GIADEC and Miscellaneous SA, a leading global industrial and energy company, which entails the development of a second mine at Nyinahini in Pasaso and the establishment of an aluminum refinery. We are finally coming to the end of decades of exporting raw bauxite from the country. We shall now refine bauxite mined in Ghana to produce alumina that will feed the Valco smelter and the downstream aluminum industry, which is going to have a dramatic impact on Ghanaian industrialization, where we produce parts for motor vehicles, aircrafts, roofing sheets, and household utensils. It has taken a long time for us to get to this stage. We've taken the trouble to make sure that we get it right. As an indigene, It is my hope that once litigation over the Atewa forest range in Nsem-Pii is settled, we will be able to develop also the Nsem-Pii bauxite mine and refinery that will help deliver employment and high-paying jobs for our people, and also ensure integration and value addition across the bauxite aluminum value chain. The other major project that is coming on stream, which is bound to make a dramatic change to the economy, is the Ada Songor Salt Project, being spearheaded by Electrochem Salt Mine Limited, led by the dynamic Ghanaian entrepreneur, Mr. Dan McCaughey, aka McDan. After many years of disputes which prevented the exploitation of salt at the site, work has finally started, and salt will be mined on a large commercial scale. With its initial ability to produce some 650,000 metric tons of salt per annum, and expanding its productive capacity to 1 million metric tons this year, and to 2 million metric tons by 2027, at 99.9% purity, the Electrochem salt mine will be the biggest salt-producing facility in the whole of Africa. These are figures that should spell a significant change in the economy and cheer us up. I am optimistic that together with other initiatives of this government, we are on the verge of a breakthrough in our economic fortunes. I must mention another important ingredient in the democratic structure which is needed for prosperity, which is the rule of law. Businesses can only prosper in an atmosphere that guarantees the rule of law. My compatriots, fellow Ghanaians, the rule of law is not an alien concept. It is not something that can be applied selectively. For it to be effective and have a positive influence, it must be applicable to all aspects of our lives and to all of us, on the streets, in offices and workplaces, to junior officials and chief executives, to traditional leaders and members of parliament, to famous artists, sportsmen and footballers, and yes, to the president too. We cannot hope for economic prosperity without adhering to the rule of law. There are few amongst us who equate the freedom that was proclaimed at the arrival of independence with the freedom to ignore the rules and regulations that should guide our lives. Aspirations for prosperity go hand in hand with the discipline necessary for the rule of law. Fellow Ghanaians, on the day we celebrate our nationhood, we cannot and should not leave out a reference to the physical state of the land that constitutes Ghana. We cannot claim to love Ghana when we treat with such disdain and total careless abandon the forests, the rivers, the vegetation, the creatures, and the soils that make up Ghana. The Almighty has been kind and generous to us, and our beautiful land deserves to be treated with tender, loving care. Unless we change how we treat the land, future generations would not recognize the Ghana they read about in the land we bequeath to them. I stay firm in my conviction that extracting the minerals we have been blessed with should not lead to the destruction of the forests and rivers. We should all dedicate ourselves anew to taking care of Ghana. I must at this stage reaffirm government's continued commitment to providing the support for victims of the recent extensive flooding in downstream communities in the Greater Accra, Eastern and Volta regions, caused by the spillage of the Akosombo Dam last year, and necessary